Many examples of the Sligo or Tuam chair are on display here at the museum. This armchair was constructed by cooper and carpenter Thomas Hughes of Cloonkeely, Tuam, County Galway. Made in the early 20th century from ash, this chair was presented to the museum by Edward Richards Orphan of Grange Furniture. Inspired by the arts and crafts movement, which began in the late 19th century throughout Europe, Richards Orphan, W.B. Yeats and others found the Sligo or Tuam chair to hold core values associated with it: clean lines, honest native materials, traditional craft techniques and robust, attractive furniture for everyday use. Thomas Hughes made this chair from beech and ash. This style of chair shows the skill of the craftsman, with arms that extend from the back and are secured to supports at the front. The poet William Butler Yeats, his wife George, and architect William Scott commissioned a number of Sligo or Tuam chairs for his tower house at Tuam, County Galway in 1918. The photographer Tomás O'Hagan from Kinvara, County Galway, photographed the interior of Tuam in 1926. One of O'Hagan's photographs includes a three-legged armchair. Tuam is closely associated with some of W.B. Yeats' most famous work, including his volumes The Tower and The Winding Stair. We might imagine Yeats sitting on this three-legged chair as he wrote his famous poetry. The Thomas Hughes chair was the inspiration for a version of the chair made by Grange Furniture Industries at Monk's Grange, County Wexford, from the late 1920s to the early 1930s. These chairs incorporated a trefoil in their design. That's a Celtic motif of three overlaid circles carved into the back of each chair. A recent addition to the National Museum of Ireland Decorative Arts collection was created in 2005 by renowned artist Sasha Sykes. She named her chair the Carlow chair. Let's hear from Sasha Sykes herself.
So my name is Sasha Sykes. I'm an artist and designer based in Dublin, and 15 years ago I made my version of the Sligo chair, which is the Carlow chair, because I'm from Carlow. The chair is made with the cast back. I found the most interesting part of the Sligo chair is this wonderful slab piece for the back, continuous piece the whole way from top to bottom. And I wanted to focus on this to incorporate materials from Carlow that I would, very particular to me and the area where I grew up. For me, this back piece is like the work of art that the whole chair centres around. And obviously working in acrylics and resins is very different to working in woods, and the construction of it and the fabrication is very, very different. You approach it in a very different way. And with the original Sligo chair, its construction is very much based around this a plug that goes through the back. So there's a sort of tenon mortise at the back. And with my version of it, obviously it's a different approach, but I still wanted to highlight that aspect of the back. So for me, the way I constructed it was the main part of the seat and the legs are made out of acrylic, and the back panel is predominantly resin. The back of the chair, which is the focal point in my chair, is made through casting liquid resin and embedding all this material that I collected from the woodland floor. It's quite a complex process because you have to build it up in layers, especially given the curve. You have to sort of move. It has to be done over time where you move things and you're curving at the same time as casting, because obviously it's a liquid and it floats to a level. So we add in all the different materials in the layers, and there's probably 8 or 10 different layers in there, and then towards the top we put in the acrylic block, which is where the seat is joined onto the back panel casting. So the casting of the chair, of this back panel, took place over probably 3 or 4 weeks. What we do is we would put in one layer and allow it to dry, and then add to it and build it up slowly, slowly, slowly. And then of course it has to be completely shaped. So it has to be sanded back to get exactly the right angles, to get exactly the right shape, to get exactly that right finish down at the bottom and at the top. So the original casting is actually quite rough, and then you shape it to what you want at the end of it. And the resin itself takes, it's pretty much dry within 24 hours. It's probably 95% dry, but you need to leave it for, say, a week after all the casting is done to really let it harden, and then you can cut it and sand it and polish it. So the rest of the chair is actually made from acrylic sheet, which is cast in big, huge sheets, and then we cut it up and cement it. It's a welding method actually, because what you're doing is the front legs are actually welded onto the underside of the seat. It's a kind of cementing also, where you're melting the surface of the seat and the top of the leg together. So it's a chemical bond.
The Sligo or Tuam Chair continues to inspire makers and designers in the 20th and 21st centuries. Recently, second-year students from the Bachelor of Science in Furniture Design and Manufacture at the Galway Mayo Institute of Technology, Letterfrack, reimagined the chair for the modern Irish home. Each student designed and made their own chair